All right, welcome back to your Citizenship Exam Prep Explainer. Grab your notebooks, grab a highlighter, because we are diving straight into the hard facts you absolutely need to know about Canada's geography. I'm super excited to guide you through this study session today. We're zeroing in strictly on the Canada's regions section of the official Discover Canada study guide. We're going to lock in the exact provinces, the territories, the capitals, and those key economic drivers that examiners just love to test. So if you're looking to pass with flying colors, you are in the exact right place. So here is our lesson plan for today. We're going to track systematically all the way from east to west, covering 1. The Atlantic provinces, 2. Central Canada, 3. The Prairie provinces, 4. The West Coast, and finally, 5. The Northern Territories. Okay, Section 1. Let's start our geographical journey out on the East Coast with the Atlantic provinces. Take a really good look at this running list of the 4 provinces and their capital cities. Matching a province to its capital is a super common test question. And trust me, they love to mix these up to see if you're paying attention. So we've got Newfoundland and Labrador with its capital St. John's, Prince Edward Island with Charlottetown, Nova Scotia with Halifax, and New Brunswick with Fredericton. Jot these pairs down and just keep reviewing them until they're second nature. Now, it's actually fascinating how this region's geography directly dictates its economy. When the exam asks you about this area, you need to remember that it features the Appalachian Range and is heavily influenced by the Atlantic Ocean. That means cool winters and cool, humid summers. Because of these incredible coastlines and natural resources, the economy here is heavily reliant on fishing, farming, forestry, and mining, right alongside offshore oil and gas. Okay, highlight this specific fact in your notes. Actually, put a giant red star next to it because it shows up on the exam all the time. New Brunswick is Canada's only officially bilingual province. About 1/3 of the population there lives and works in French. Do not forget that detail. Moving right along to Section 2, let's head westward to Central Canada, which is really our industrial heartland. This region technically only contains 2 provinces, but they are incredibly significant, Quebec and Ontario. And again, capital cities are prime exam material here. For Quebec, the capital is Quebec City, not Montreal, which is a really common trap. For Ontario, the capital is Toronto. Just make sure you don't accidentally confuse these provincial capitals with major metropolitan areas or the national capital. You know, we call this region the Heartland for 2 primary reasons. Economically, Ontario and Quebec are absolute powerhouses. They produce more than 3/4 of all Canadian manufactured goods. That is massive. And politically, the region hosts the Parliament buildings in Ottawa, Ontario, which makes it the center of the entire country's government. Let's test your knowledge of Central Canada's geography with a quick pop quiz based on the study guide. So, Ontario is bordered by 5 Great Lakes. Do you happen to know which one is the largest freshwater lake in the entire world? Take a second. If you guessed Lake Superior, you nailed it. Definitely file that little fact away for exam day. Section 3. Next, we are opening our textbooks to the massive, flat expanses of the Prairie provinces, also known as the Great Plains. This region is mostly dry, featuring cold winters and hot summers. It's made up of 3 provinces: Manitoba, whose capital is Winnipeg, Saskatchewan, which is the most important agricultural province, and Alberta, the most populous prairie province. A really quick memory trick for you. Just think MSA. Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, to keep them grouped together in your mind as a distinct block. The prairies feature some of the most fertile farmland in the entire world. Saskatchewan alone has more than 40% of the arable land in Canada. It is a massive producer of wheat and canola. Alberta, on the other hand, is famous for its vast cattle ranches, which makes Canada one of the world's major beef producers. But it's not all just agriculture. The examiners will absolutely expect you to know that the prairie economies are heavily driven by rich energy resources. Alberta, and to a very significant extent Saskatchewan, are massive producers of oil and gas. So when you think of the prairie provinces for the test, think fertile farmland, beef, and a whole lot of energy. Continuing west to Section 4, we reach the majestic mountains of the West Coast, our Pacific Gateway. The West Coast region is made up of just one single province, British Columbia, our westernmost province right there on the Pacific coast. But please note carefully, its capital is Victoria. Just like with Quebec, this is a classic exam pitfall. So many people assume the capital is Vancouver because it's the biggest city, but it is unequivocally Victoria. Don't let them trick you. Geographically, the West Coast is famous for its stunning, majestic mountains. And thanks to warm air streams coming off the Pacific Ocean, this coast enjoys a beautifully temperate climate. Economically speaking, about one-half of all goods produced in BC are forestry products, making it the most valuable forestry industry in Canada. They also rely quite heavily on mining and fishing. Okay, I need you to commit this exact phrase to memory for the test. The Port of Vancouver handles billions of dollars in traded goods globally. Because of its location and just the massive volume of trade, British Columbia, and specifically the Port of Vancouver, is known as Canada's primary gateway to the Asia Pacific. If you see those exact words on a multiple choice question, you know exactly which region they are talking about. Finally, Section 5. We are looking way up north to the vast, cold expanses of the Northern Territories, the true north. This region contains 3 territories: the Northwest Territories with its capital Yellowknife, Nunavut with its capital Iqaluit, and the Yukon. What is absolutely wild here, and highly testable by the way, is the dramatic contrast in scale. These 3 territories make up a massive 1/3 of Canada's total landmass, and yet they host a population of only 100,000 people combined. Economically, the North is incredibly resource-rich. It's driven heavily by mines extracting everything from gold, lead, copper, and zinc. Actually, Yellowknife, the capital of the Northwest Territories, is famously called the Diamond Capital of North America. They're also actively developing oil and gas deposits up there. Here is another absolute classic exam question. The North is very often referred to as the land of the midnight sun. Why? Because at the height of summer, daylight can last up to 24 hours. The sun literally does not set. But on the flip side, in the winter, the sun completely disappears and darkness sets in for 3 long months. This extreme climate shapes literally everything about life in the Northern Territories. Wow, we have covered a tremendous amount of ground today. Before we wrap up this study session, I want you to test yourself right now. Can you name the 5 regions from east to west to north? Can you match the capitals? Can you list at least one key economic driver for each one? If you can answer these questions with confidence, you have locked these facts in for test A. I'm going to leave you with this really beautiful quote straight from the Discover Canada Guide. By coming to Canada and taking this important step toward Canadian citizenship, you are helping to write the continuing story of Canada. Review this explainer as often as you need to. Passing this exam isn't just about memorizing facts. It's your first major step in writing your own chapter in this incredible country's history. So, which of these 5 magnificent regions will you choose to shape your Canadian story? Keep studying, stay focused, and I will see you in the next explainer.